Hey, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here. April 22 of 2020 with our SARS-CoV-2 facts and science-based update. So one of the questions that we have to ask is the solution worse than the problem? And history has some glaring examples of this, yet this may be the worst one ever. So we'll talk later about the Cobra effect, but here are what the numbers are being reported as. And you'll see why I say reported as, because the data doesn't match, but 2.5 million infections around the planet, nearly 180,000 deaths around the planet. We can calculate death rate very, very accurately. So at the end of 2019, the death rate was 7.579 per 1,000 people. It was supposed to be basically about that this year. But here's what I'll show you. We're at exactly that right now, this point of this year, 7.579. The data is indisputable. How many extra deaths in 2020? I screenshot this from Worldometer this morning. There's our population coming up on 7.8 billion people, 110 days past this year. So that's a little over 30% of the year. There was last year's death rate. And then projected deaths to date, that would be right here. Here are the actual deaths to date. Very close to within 23,000 when you're talking numbers of billions. What is the actual death rate? Exactly what was projected, or maybe just a tiny micro fraction more. So we are right on path. Now, Stanford last week said, whoa, we are really overblowing the data. They did their own study. Some people want to question Stanford. Get real. They have some of the top scientists in the world. Now, University of Southern California has looked at it again. Los Angeles Times reported very similar data. So in history, the Cobra effect, here's the fascinating thing. India had a problem with cobras, so they started paying a bounty on cobras. So since they were being paid to turn in dead cobras, farmers were farming cobras. Then when they stopped paying a bounty on cobras, they released the cobras into the wild. So how does that make sense? Well, that which you reward gets repeated. So let's look at this in Canada. Basically, they gave federal funding of $1.25. Now, this was years ago, for every orphan they had, but they would actually pay $2.75%, more than 2x for every psychiatric patient. Well, guess what happened? They started having a lot of people diagnosed with psychiatric diseases. Why? Because they were rewarding that behavior. Now, this senator says that's been going on. The hospitals are being compensated for calling it a corona death or a COVID death. And he said, I won't have a part of it. So what's going on with hospitals now? They're losing billions. I had a connection with a frontline worker yesterday, and here's what she told me. I am working so hard. I am being thrown in the line of fire. I am taking a pay cut. And because our hospital lose money every day, I don't even know if I'm going to have a job in the future, and certainly not the economy that I was thinking. Here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Do you know someone that's been personally affected by COVID in a real bad way, right? Like they're permanently disabled or dead? I don't know anybody. And I know a lot of people. Now, do you know anybody that's been crippled financially or severely hit? Yeah, I know more people than I can count. Pandemics rise and fall. They always have throughout history. So here's the question. If you were going the wrong way, and you absolutely knew you were going the wrong way, and there was death and destruction ahead, would you keep going in that direction? Well, I strongly suggest that you wouldn't. So when are we going to fix it? Is there a problem that needs to be fixed? Is this pandemic real? Ask yourself that question. Dig deep. And if you think it is, stay in quarantine. If you don't, let's do something about it. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.